everyone. I'm your host, Patty G. Russo, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today's guest, we welcome Kathy Pobloskie from Lost Dogs of America and Lost Dogs of Wisconsin. Kathy's the co-founder of Lost Dogs of America, and she's with us every month, helping us spread the news and the word and the tips about lost dogs and how to help them. And today we're going to talk about lately there's been too many pets that are being killed because people chase after them, trying to help catch a lost pet, and they're forming search parties, and they don't really know the proper methods of what to do if they see a lost pet. So they have to realize that by doing this, they're causing the pets to move farther away instead of getting them to come to them. They're scaring them farther away. And many times we're finding they're getting hit by cars or trains and being killed in the process. So we're going to talk about that today. And Kathy's going to give us the proper methods and how to deal with that. So welcome to the show, Kathy.
Hi, Patty. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, so this is a very important topic because we know when there's a lost pet, people want to immediately go out and, save the day, which we appreciate. We do appreciate, but there is a method and there is a proper way to do it.
Right, and at the end of each month, we look at the our statistics for the month. How many dogs were successfully reunited and how many are deceased. And for many years, we were seeing a steady increase in the safe reunions and a decrease in the deceased, which was making me very happy. And unfortunately, this year, the opposite has been happening. And, it could be just a coincidence. I mean, it could be just a one-off or whatever. But it's just really disheartening to see that our number of dogs being hit by cars is actually increasing this year. And actually, our three main causes of death, hit by cars, hit by trains, and drowning, have all actually increased. And just very, very frustrating. And I think, like you said, as the awareness about lost pets grows, people see a lost dog in their area and they think, oh, well, I live really close by. I'm going to rush out and help. And they don't really understand lost dog behavior, and they actually make the problem worse. And then that, additional pressure that they put on the dog forces it to, flee into traffic and get hit. So I'm glad that we have this opportunity to talk about that a little bit and hopefully do some education on why it's not a good idea to send large groups of people out to search for a dog, or even people that don't know the dog out to search for the dog.
Right. Yeah, I know in other interviews that we've had together, you prefer that if there's a lot of people that want to volunteer to help, that they actually do the flyers, knock on doors, versus going out shouting, screaming, whistling, yelling for the lost pet.
Yes. And we don't even use the word search party anymore. That's, again, all the things that we have we've learned from experience. So, way back, 10 years ago, we actually would organize, groups of people, not really maybe so much to go search, but to help the owner. We don't do that anymore because you can't control all those people, and you're always going to have wannabe heroes in that group that aren't going to play by the rules and don't understand lost dog behavior and think that they're the dog whisperer, and are going to be able to somehow magically capture the dog. So we just don't even allow the word search party on our page at all anymore. We just have totally steered away from that, just because we've just seen it go bad way too many times. I just had a case day before yesterday, just heartbreaking, because the owners understood, but well-meaning people in the neighborhood, he had no control over them. And they were out, and he was listening to our advice, trying to lure the dog and getting it to settle and relax in one area. But well-meaning people were thinking that they were going to be the hero and go out and catch the dog because the dog was being seen. And the dog was way too shy and ran into traffic and was hit and killed. So just heartbreaking, And again, it's not, sometimes we can get we can get the owner's attention and say, hey, this is what we found from our experience to work best, and they understand it. But then there's all these people out there that we can't control.
Yeah.
And I just, just probably one of my most frustrating things. So I guess, we can talk about what to do instead of going out and searching.
Right, right.
And on that note, I actually remember one time somebody was arguing with me about it and said, well, if you're searching for a missing child, you would send out a search party. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a whole different thing.
Right.
A child is not going to be able to run faster than the people that are looking for it, and a child understands English,
Right.
and it understands that it needs help. I mean, a dog once a dog has gone into survival mode, you are basically dealing with a wild animal, and you have to change your strategy to align with that you're trying to catch a wild animal, not a domestic dog.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good way to describe it to people, because people don't want to believe that my dog won't come to me,
Right.
But it's like you had mentioned, that switch flips, and then nobody makes any sense to the dog, not even their own owner, at that point.
Right. And we don't know exactly why that happens. And we don't know the length of time for it. We just know that sometimes it happens very quickly, and sometimes it takes a couple of days. And some dogs really never go into survival mode and will always go up to somebody. And so that happens just often enough that it makes people disbelieve what we say about the dogs that are in survival mode.
Right.
But when dogs are in survival mode, they won't go to anybody. They consider people predators, and you really have to be methodical, be patient, work back on gaining their trust, or having a strategic plan to catch them. And it often involves either humane trapping them or catching them in some sort of enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will re-domesticate. A lot of people are afraid that, then my dog will never be the same again, and that's not true. The dog will become a dog again.
Yeah.
But while it's in survival mode, it's only concerned with three things. It's concerned with avoiding predators, which is people basically, and finding food and water, and finding shelter and hiding places so that it can rest in between its ventures out into, away from its hiding place to find some food and water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had 2 cases this year with dogs in serious survival mode, and the people that were working on it, one person had a lot of people, but she did a good job of, trying to educate those people. And of course, as word gets out, then more people try to help. And then, it's eventually you have to be like, okay, you can't give out any indication where the dog was last seen, because then everybody goes running out, thinking they're going to save the day. And it doesn't work that way.
Yes, exactly. So once the dog, we really recommend just allowing that dog to settle and relax in one area, and giving it the things it needs, giving it a source of food and water, allowing it to have its hiding places, and maybe even setting up some kind of small shelter for it if there's nothing else available, and then taking all the pressure off of it. So you're the predator. You let that dog be. You just ignore it. You let it relax. You get it on a regular feeding schedule. And once that happens, then you're well on your way to a safe recovery.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have people out there all the time, searching, beating the bushes, especially strangers that the dog doesn't know, and that people want to go out there, they want to look. They think they're going to find the dog, and they're going to look, and they're looking under bushes and looking under sheds and looking. That adds pressure, and when the dog starts to feel that pressure, he will not settle and relax, and he will keep moving. And when he is in that state of mind, that kind of panicky state of mind, he will make really poor decisions, and often either, again, like run into traffic, run out into a lake or onto thin ice up here in the north, and then fall through and drown, or run the train tracks. And we don't know why dogs do not get out of the way of train tracks, out of the way of trains, but they don't. We had 2 dogs, a pair of dogs, they both killed by a train, running the train tracks. And again, in a very, very high, very panicky state, and trains can't stop.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking for the train engineers. They don't really understand why either, but it happens way too frequently.
Yeah, that's sad. I wonder if it's due to something with their sight, like they can't have depth perception. Who knows? It's really bizarre,
Right.
huh? Yeah.
Right, yep. And it seems to be partially because they're using the train tracks to travel, because that's kind of they're not having to run through the bush, right? The train track is a fairly easy place for a dog to travel without being seen by people.
Right.
But yeah, they just don't seem to understand that big thing coming isn't going to stop.
Yeah.
And I don't want to laugh because it's horrible, but it happens way more often than we would like. And the one thing that we do recommend to owners, we don't want owners out walking train tracks because that's dangerous for people as well. Trains can't stop. But most level crossings have a phone number at them. There's like a box with a phone number, and maybe that's not the case everywhere, but in Wisconsin that's the case. And you can phone that number, and you can let the railroad know that you're searching for a dog and ask them to call if any of the engineers suspect that they've hit your dog. And they have, in Wisconsin, they've actually been, we're really getting a good relationship, and they've been very good about that because they don't want to do it anymore. It breaks their heart too.
Yeah, I bet. So what is your response to somebody, because I have people say this, when you tell them do not chase after a dog that's loose, and they say, how else am I going to get it?
Well, I usually use an analogy that seems to work, and I'll say, the dog is now a wild animal, and would you chase a fox or a coyote to try to catch it? And then they start to realize that no, they're not going to be able to run as fast, and that's not going to be a successful strategy. And so then I usually tell them to try to consider changing their approach to luring instead of chasing or searching, and to think about how you would tame maybe a feral cat, or I'll use the example of a chipmunk. You wouldn't chase a chipmunk. You would sit on the ground and hold out a peanut, and then that sort of seems to kind of flip a switch in their head about, okay, yeah, that is probably a better strategy than chasing. And it takes a lot of patience. A lot of people just don't have that kind of patience. But that's because it may take hours, it may take days, it may take weeks. But using a feeding station and luring the dog back to one place by providing a regular source of food is really key. Once we know that a dog is coming to one location for food, we start to feel really good that there's going to be as long as everybody kind of plays by the rules and nobody goes rogue and runs out there and again chases the dog, that there's a really good chance that dog's going to be caught safely.
Yeah.
Because then we can really implement a plan, whether it be to just